Texas now, 7 counties, over 690 people tell an identical story, including Dallas and Travis. In Kansas, many reports of people voting twice. This is significant because remember what I said, the convention sets its own rules. At the 1952 convention, Robert Taft, the senator from Ohio, had the votes to be nominated for president. He was being challenged by Dwight Eisenhower. Eisenhower went to the Credentials Committee and said that the Texas delegates, who were all for Taft, had been illegally elected because his people had not been allowed to vote when they showed up at the caucuses. And indeed, they were Democrats, so the Taft people turned them away, although they were legally able to vote. The Eisenhower legal team documented this with thousands of affidavits. The Credentials Committee threw out the Taft people. That report had to go to the full convention, but the Eisenhower people convinced the chairman that the Texas Taft delegates should not have the right to vote on their own fate. Taft went down 100 votes. Eisenhower made the rule change, and that is how he became president. You could argue in the Credentials Committee that Ted Cruz's delegates were elected through fraud. They could argue that no court has held that, but let's have the trial right here. The witnesses are lined up and ready to testify for the committee. And here's a stack of their affidavits and the videos. It's up to the convention whether it wishes to take that action. Or maybe it's Kansas that is challenged. So our project, the Stop the Steal project, is deeply involved, using lawyers who are very familiar with the election law, and local volunteers to pick them up at the airports and so on, in documenting all these cases of fraud. We've created a toll-free line, which has been very busy. One of the problems we have is that people call us and tell us a horrendous story, but then they don't tell us their name. So we appeal to those who may have seen anything suspicious in any state, anything irregular, to contact us. I think it's essential that Trump have these options because they're going to be coming at you with an attempt to unbind the delegates on the first ballot. They could come at you throwing out the states, as we discussed, that allows open primaries and Democrats to vote. They could change the rules, saying you had to have a majority in 20 states. I mean, there's all kinds of mischief that the establishment party lobbyist wing, who have always controlled this convention since 1940, with the one exception of 1964 and 1980, they have run every convention using these same tactics. And their hope is that on a late ballot, a Kasich or a Mitt Romney surfaces. Mitt wanted to run this year, let's be clear. He didn't run because we all know Jeb was unbeatable. That shows you how dumb Romney is. And he was kicking himself because he didn't run, because he clearly thinks he could run a better campaign than Donald Trump. It's not too late, Mitt, to get on the California ballot. That deadline doesn't pass until April. The water seems fine. I think Mitt should jump in. But instead, he's trying to play for a brokered convention in which Marco and Kasich and Cruz and the boys come to him. And he'd be happy to give Ted the Supreme Court nomination. I don't know what's going to go on in the back rooms. But the cool thing is, I'm going to be there smoking an enormous cigar.